What's up, everybody? Hi, and happy Self-Care Sunday. It is I, your coach, Melanie Black, and tonight we are going to be talking about habits, how starting new habits specifically can de-stress, and new hobbies, how building... Let's try that again. The fun, the excitement of going live, how engaging in new hobbies can build better habits. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Exactly right. Okay, so I am a big fan of trying new things, and I'm going to tell you why. When we get older, when we get to be, into our adulthood, we tend to have some expertise behind us, right? We've been doing things for some number of years, and maybe we've even gotten pretty good at it. But this comes with a really massive trade-off, and that trade-off is we get really nervous about doing new stuff. We stop asking questions. We stop being curious. Once we become an expert in what we do, we maybe kind of shut down other things. When we're younger, we try a lot of new hobbies, so try a lot of new things. Sometimes we're pushed into it by parents, trying new sports and new crafts and arts and different things in school. And the nice thing about that is there's no real expectation that you have on yourself to be excellent at it, right? After all, maybe it wasn't even your choice. You're just kind of trying new things. So why would you have to be good at it after all? But then as we get older, we have this pressure, this self-imposed pressure largely that we put on ourselves to be excellent at everything that we do. And I think as a result, many of us start to do less and less and less. And this is a total disgrace to the many versions of yourself that you are, right? Because you are not just one thing in life. You don't have just one interest. You have multiple personalities, multiple interests. And sometimes we satisfy these interests just, passively by watching maybe things on YouTube. I certainly indulge in watching a lot of, baking shows and that kind of stuff, even though I don't particularly bake myself, right? Sometimes watching other people do a thing more expertly is kind of cathartic, and we feel like secure and safe watching these things unfold. And it's very interesting. But one of the things that we really miss out on when we simply observe or passively absorb entertainments rather than trying out the thing ourselves is we miss out, number one, on all the beautiful little nuance, the little details, the little connections that we wouldn't make otherwise. It's the difference between driving on the highway and taking a walk, right? You're not going to notice the caterpillar on your first walk turning into a little chrysalis on your second walk, turning into a butterfly on your third walk. You're not going to notice all these little changes, these minor details that are so integral to the process. In fact, when we are so used to absorbing entertainments that kind of present, here's step A, B, and C, and fast forward, a condensed 2-minute video for something that maybe took the person years to master, while it can be very satisfying to watch that unfold quickly, we miss out on all of the detail, on all of the steps. And mostly, I think we miss out on the feeling of being a beginner, right? And I'm gonna circle back around to this idea of the feeling of being a beginner and how important that is, not only for just, life in general, my general philosophy on life, but also especially and specifically for fitness, yes. So if you are a member of the Nerd Gym, and you're maybe doing a weight loss program right now, or you're starting up your exercise program again or for the first time, a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves to be so excellent the first time around, and it's just not necessary. Not only is it not necessary, it can actually hinder our progress. So we're going to talk about how you can use new hobbies or exploring new hobbies to facilitate not only better habits that will help you perhaps with your weight loss, fat loss, or fitness journey, but also habits that can be developed from your hobbies to help you with the mindset that is required for a long-term fitness pursuit. So let's just first brainstorm on some hobbies. Maybe it's been a while since you've thought about doing something new. Maybe you do some of these hobbies already, but you're kind of at an intermediate or an expert level at it, and maybe it's time to try some new things. So working with a specific type of plants like succulents or air plants, photography, fishing, knitting, playing a musical instrument, do video games, puzzles, baking, bonsai, painting, animal training, stamp collecting. Oh my goodness, there's so many things to collect. Bug collecting, starting an ant farm, rock collecting, learning a new language, learning to play chess, basketball, origami, nail art, gardening, podcasting, video editing, woodworking, astrology, astronomy, sewing, RC cars, drones, and fish tanks. There are so many different things and so many different little rabbit holes to go down as you're thinking of new hobbies for yourself. Now, one of the things that you may want to consider, maybe there's some kind of a habit that you've been trying to get into that has been really frustrating you. Maybe you are having difficulty getting enough steps in your walk. Maybe if you took up something like bird watching, that would encourage you to get out more, or playing Pokemon Go. For myself, living in downtown Tucson, I would get out for my runs by collecting photographs of murals downtown. Now, pretty soon, I'm going to be moving out of downtown into a place that's a little bit more rural. And one of the things that I'm looking at to get into there is a little bit more of geology study and rock collecting. So again, it gives me a reason, an excuse to get out and get that good walking in, get those good habits going. So you can think of things in terms of, how you will explore your hobby to help you with whatever you're working on. Maybe you have difficulty drinking enough water in your day and you're chronically dehydrated. Well, what if you got into like pH testing your water or something, or chemistry? I don't know. There's all kinds of wild stuff that people do for their hobbies. There are all kinds of niches to get into. And whatever it is, I think it's really important, not only for, if you can tie it into a good habit, maybe getting out for some sunshine, for some vitamin D, all that kind of stuff, or getting some much needed social time in, especially with many of us being indoors so much lately and being isolated. Sometimes hobbies that incorporate other people into them, even if it's just remotely, can be very beneficial to our mental health. So considering like what hobbies we could do in the context of helping our other good habits, but also just for the sake of doing something new, just for the joy of opening up your mind to doing something new. So I highly recommend thinking about that. And most important thing with starting a new hobby is to be okay with being a beginner. Be okay with being a beginner. I work with adults, and I would say that the number one hardest thing for somebody when they are starting a fitness program, and I also part-time tutor, English for non-English speaking people. The nervousness that adults feel getting into a new environment, being around new people, and having to perform new tasks can be overwhelming to the point of even stopping them doing it at all, even when they know they need to take this next step. And in some cases, the need is really dire. Some cases, folks have diabetes or, some other life-threatening thing in which they need to begin taking that next step for their fitness, for their health. And the nervousness we feel when we are not used to, when we are not practiced in being a beginner and starting anew, and just being okay with being naive, right? And I think it's especially bad for people who maybe used to be athletic, right? Who used to play sports, who used to have a very fit body compared to where they're at now. Getting back into it and being in that kind of rusty condition in some ways is worse than never having begun at all, right? So getting into new hobbies and trying out new things and failing and being okay with failure and not attaching your self-worth to that failure, I think is tremendously beneficial, and just being in practice of doing that by virtue of doing new things over and over again is tremendously beneficial and a huge important part of self-care. So I hope that you, dear listener, will start a new hobby soon. And let me know what your hobbies are. Go ahead and in the comments, let me know, what are your hobbies? What do you do that is not just passive absorption of entertainments, right? What do you do that is some kind of active hobby? I don't care how, in fact, the weirder the better, right? The weirder, the more benign, or the, you know, like, there are so many interesting little hobbies out there. You know, everything from you know, tracking the weather and insects in your backyard to you know, technologies. There's just so many. I want to know, what do you do for your hobby, and what hobby would you like to get into next? Yeah, so let me know what your ideas for your next hobby are. Yeah, just that's my main advice for today. It's something that has helped me out tremendously as I have tried new things in my life, to remember that it's okay to not be an expert. It's okay to F things up, and it's okay to just have fun with it and do things for the joy of doing them, not from the standpoint of, oh, I need this to be a successful adult, and if I fail at this, then, you know, there are consequences. You know, not everything has to be dire like that, right? Not everything has to have these major consequences. And I think that we tend to attach that to too many things that just don't need it. So get into something new. Let me know what you got going on, and I will see you next time, either on this channel here, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, or if you're a member of the Nerd Gym, I will see you over at the Nerd Gym. Okay, bye-bye.